All right, so we have this piecewise function here, right? So f of x is equal to these three pieces. The first piece is negative 3x. You notice that the restriction here is for x less than negative 1. Right, the second piece is just this number 0, and this is based on x equal to 1. And then the last piece is 2x squared plus 1 for x greater than negative 1. Okay. So first thing we want to do is we want to evaluate this at these values. What is f of negative 2? Okay. Now, first thing you got to note here is we're not going to have three answers, right? You're not going to plug in negative 2 here, and then here, and then here, and give me three answers, right? Remember, as a function, we can only have one answer. Yeah, so how are we going to find f of negative 2? And the key is we have to determine which domain it goes in, or which piece of the function it fits into. Right? So let's take a look. F of negative 2, does negative 2 fall into this piece here, or this piece here? Okay. Well, obviously negative 2 is less than negative 1. Okay. So we want to evaluate f of negative 2 using this piece. So f of negative 2 then would equal negative 3 times negative 2, which equals positive 6. Okay, so that is f of negative 2. Okay. This needs a negative 1 there, right? So sorry about that. So how are we going to evaluate f of negative 1? Well, we are going to do the same thing. Which piece does negative 1 fall into? The first one, second one, or the third one? And yeah, it'll help if I had that negative 1 there earlier, right? But yeah, f of negative 1 falls into this piece, so what does that mean? Right? F of negative 1 then should just equal whatever it tells us, right? In this case, that should just equal 0. And then finally, what is f of 0? So same thing, we're going to figure out which piece 0 falls into, right? Or which part of the domain, right? 0 is not less than negative 1. 0 does not equal negative 1, but 0 is certainly greater than negative 1, right? So to evaluate f of 0, we want to plug in 0 into this piece. Okay? So plugging 0 into that piece, 2 times 0 plus 1 does give us just 1 as the final answer. All right, now let's sketch this guy. Okay, now we know that we have three different pieces, right? So what we want to do then is essentially sketch each piece using the respective domains, okay? All right, let's take a look at the first one, right? This first one is negative 3x, and we only sketch this piece of the function for values of x that are less than negative 1. Okay, now first of all, what does the graph of negative 3x look like? It's a line. It's a line that has a slope of negative 3, and the y-intercept is 0, right? So we're going to draw a line that looks a little something like this. It goes up this way, right? So now you can imagine the whole line, right? The whole line is going to look a little something like this, and it's going to keep going on forever this way, right? But remember, this is a piecewise function. So what does that mean? It means that we're going to stop here. At x is equal to negative 1, this is where x is negative 1, right? So the y value should stop over here. We should put an open circle there because it's strictly less than negative 1. So this is the line, negative 3x. But we're only going to use this piece because x is less than negative 1. How are we going to sketch the second piece here, right? When x is negative 1, what is the y value? It's 0, right? So this is actually just a point. When x is negative 1, y is equal to 0. Okay. And it is a closed circle, right? We need a closed circle here. What about the last piece? 2x squared plus 1. Okay. So this is x squared, right? So x squared, whenever we see this x squared, we know that we're going to have this U shape, okay? So how are we going to draw this guy? Okay. Well, we're just going to draw it as a parabola, okay? So as this parabola, right now, we know that this is going to be shifted up 1 unit, okay? So we're going to look a little something like this, okay? Now, when x is negative 1, y is equal to 3, right? So we're going to go a little something like this, and then just go up this way, okay? So this is what our total graph looks like. Now I color-coded it here, okay? But the green graph represents the first piece, okay? It's a line. Okay? The red piece here, okay, represents the second part of the function, which is just a point. And then the blue graph, which is a parabola or a U shape, okay, is the third piece. Notice I don't draw the blue graph, I don't draw the parabola all the way, right? I don't draw both sides of the U. Okay, because We only draw the parabola for values of x that are greater than, strictly greater than -1.